the Patriots.
We stand up and speak out for what's right. This is the Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress.
And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show. We're live here Monday, September 26th. And right now, very happy to welcome to the show Pennsylvania State Representative Austin Davis. He's the Democratic candidate for Lieutenant Governor, running with Josh Shapiro, who endorsed him, who's currently the AG. Representative Davis, it's great to have you on, my friend. We had Josh Shapiro on in the past, but now it's great to have the full ticket on. So welcome to the show.
Well, Dean, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here with you and all your listeners today.
So tell people a little bit, you're a state rep, you first ran a few years ago. Tell us a little bit about what got you involved in not running for lieutenant governor, but get involved in public service.
Yeah, so thank you so much for that question. I've been really proud to represent Pennsylvania's 35th legislative district since 2018. My hometown of McKeesport and the surrounding Mon Valley community, which is a fairly Rust Belt community, old steel mill industrial town that's kind of fallen on hard times at the collapse of the steel industry. But I decided to get involved in public service when I was 16 years old. There was an incident of gun violence in my community where somebody got shot on my block about 2 doors down from where I lived, and I decided to go to a McKeesport City Council meeting. And when I went to that meeting, there were two things that I noticed. One, there was nobody talking about the issue of gun violence in my community. So at 16, I decided to take that charge, to get involved, to roll up my sleeves, and form a violence prevention organization when I was 16 years old. So we worked with the city officials to help reduce gun violence, particularly among young people. And then the second thing I noticed was that there was nobody who looked like me serving in city government. And I believe that representation matters. I've said throughout this campaign, but also throughout my career, that I believe the people closest to the pain should be closest to the power. And so I decided to run for State House in 2018 after working in county government for about 5 years. And when I was elected, became the first African-American to ever represent Pennsylvania's 35th legislative district or any district in Western Pennsylvania outside of the city of Pittsburgh. So we made a little bit of history and trying to make some more history to become Pennsylvania's first black lieutenant governor.
I love that line, closest to the pain should be closest to the power. That's very good. I like that. It's better. I've always heard the one that if you're not on the menu, if you're not on the table, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
You don't have a seat you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu.
But this is better. I like this because I think it really makes the point very true that if you're the one that has the most to lose, your community needs to be there. Because if you're not, you're going to continue to lose, and they'll add to your suffering because no one's there to stand up for you or defend you.
Well,
Go
ahead.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, I'm probably the most unlikely person to be in elected office. I'm the son of a union bus driver and a hairdresser and a first-generation college graduate. So when we're talking about working-class folks or working-class issues, that's me. Those issues affect me personally and my family. So it's very real to me.
That's great. And you can connect with the people of your state because most people are working class people. Most people make a living and work hard each week and hope for the best and hope they have enough money as they get older so they can retire or at least retire even semi-work with dignity. And that's part of the struggle I see in our country now. So and the state house, as a state representative, could you share a little of your experiences there? Like what informed you now to say, you know what, I'm working in the state house, but I really want to be lieutenant governor of a statewide position?
Yeah, a lot of folks ask that, the state house is a place where a lot of people go and spend a long time and kind of build their career. But we're really at a critical moment here in Pennsylvania. When we have to decide whether we're going to build a Pennsylvania that works for everyone and move Pennsylvania forward or whether we're going to continue in the politics of fear and division. And so I decided to get off the sidelines to really get in the game. Because I wanted to be a strong governing partner for Josh Shapiro to help him take on the big fights that I know we're going to have in the next 4 years to help create a Pennsylvania that lifts people up, that makes sure every child has access to a quality education. And I just felt like I couldn't do it all from my state legislative seat. I felt like I've made a lot of progress in helping to revitalize towns, communities that have been struck really hard by the collapse of the steel industry and connect my communities to new economies. And I thought I'm the best person not only to help Josh Shapiro win in November, but to really help him deliver real results for working class Pennsylvanians.
So can you share what you would do as lieutenant governor? Because I've talked to different candidates for lieutenant governor and actual lieutenant governors. It seems like every state's got their own thing. So in Pennsylvania, what would be your responsibilities?
Yeah, so I will tell you, every lieutenant governor in Pennsylvania is slightly different depending on their relationship with the governor. But there are some statutory requirements. The lieutenant governor is the president of the Pennsylvania State Senate. I would be the presiding officer over the Pennsylvania Senate. I would chair Pennsylvania's Board of Pardons, which is responsible for granting pardons or commutations for folks. That's pretty significant to me to be the first person of color to ever serve as the chair of that board, given the vast majority of folks who come before it often look like me. And then thirdly, the lieutenant governor chairs the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency's Leadership Council. So if there is an emergency, the lieutenant governor and their office is in charge and working with our emergency management officials to coordinate the response. Those are some of the statutory duties, but I really look forward to being a partner with Josh to really help deal with some of Pennsylvania's most pressing issues. I've said very clearly I want to be a very active governing partner for Josh in the day-to-day governing of our Commonwealth. And I think if folks look at how we've run our campaign, we've run it very differently than previous governors and lieutenant governors in the past. When I announced my campaign back in January, Josh was standing right beside me and endorsing me to say he wanted me to be his governing partner. I'm glad I made it through the primary to join him on the ticket to do that. But we've said from the beginning, we're a team and we're going to govern as a team. And we're going to work together to address Pennsylvania's most pressing issues.
And I'm chatting with Pennsylvania State Representative Austin Davis, who's the Democratic nominee for lieutenant governor, running with Josh Shapiro, who Josh was on one time, but I really liked him. He was like a really good guy. We connected well, and it's great chatting with you. You guys seem like a great team. Like, if he leaves the state, do you become governor? Like, are you automatically get his powers?
I do, yeah. Well, not if he leaves the state, but if he were to resign his office, God forbid something happened.
But I mean, like, if he travels, it's not like, because there was one governor in a red state who the lieutenant governor and governor hated each other. And the governor left the state, and the lieutenant governor started signing executive orders. And she tried to primary him, and she lost. She was a Trump-backed Republican. It was this year. I'm like, wow, that is contentious. I never heard of that kind of scenario before.
Yeah, I did see that. No, when Josh travels, he is fully the governor.
Okay.
It's only if he were to die or leave off or resign his office, I would then become Pennsylvania's governor.
All right. Well, I had some ideas for executive orders, but I'll have to put that on the back burner. So I'm like, all right, Josh is out of the state. Can you sign this? Help me out here. So, all right, let's talk about you. You traveling the state all over. I saw pictures of you online on your Twitter feed, a union event. I'm a union guy. I think it's great. I've never seen a president ever be more pro-union. But besides that, broadening it out, when you speak to voters around the state, what are the issues they want you to address?
Yeah, so I have been crisscrossing this Commonwealth for months now, not just big cities like Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, but small towns like Pottstown, like Chester. I'm going to be in Chester, PA tomorrow, but to rural communities like Union County and Jim Thorpe, where one of your colleagues was from earlier. And what we're hearing is that folks want leaders who are going to lead with compassion and empathy and who are going to put delivering results for them and their family above all else. Pennsylvanians are tired of the partisan politics and the bickering coming out of Harrisburg and D.C. They want elected officials who are going to fight to make sure we have an economy that works for everyone, an economy that ensures we're creating family-sustaining jobs where middle-class folks can get ahead and join a union and earn a livable wage. Folks want to make sure that every child in this Commonwealth has the opportunity to get a quality education regardless of their zip code. And folks are concerned that they want to make sure their communities are safe. Josh Shapiro and I have spent a lot of time talking about how we're going to improve safety here in Pennsylvania. Josh has done a lot of that work as Pennsylvania's Attorney General. Just as recently as today, the Philadelphia Fraternal Order of Police endorsed Josh's campaign for governor, which is pretty unique in this environment.
Sure.
But we're working every day to make sure Pennsylvania is safe and people can thrive and live the American dream here in the Commonwealth.
And in the bigger picture, and I saw you had tweeted about this, defending our democracies on the ballot, folks.
Yes.
You wrote. Share a little bit about, because that's what we were talking about before you came on the first hour. We were talking a little bit about in Italy with the far-right candidate there and MAGA cheering that, and also truly the attack on freedoms I've never seen. And it's not just rhetoric by the right. They've passed laws to ban abortion, ban books, ban teaching Black History Month, ban LGBTQ, any kind of even talking about them. Don't say gay. If you say gay, in Florida, you get punished. And the list goes on. It's not rhetoric. It's actually policy they're doing. So share with us a little bit about defending our freedom and defending our democracy.
Yeah, so Pennsylvania is one of the swingiest of swing states in the country. Every presidential year, it always comes down to Pennsylvania. And the reality is, here in Pennsylvania, our next governor will appoint the Secretary of State, who manages our elections. Doug Mastriano, our opponent, has talked about decertifying election machines and throwing out votes. And let's be clear, where he's talking about doing that, he's not talking about doing it in red counties. He's talking about doing it in urban places and suppressing black and brown votes. That is a huge threat to our democracy. That is going to have massive implications in the presidential election that comes up in 2024. He has talked about banning abortions completely, no exception for rape, incest, or life of the mother. That's a fundamental right here in Pennsylvania, and he wants to take that away. The reality is this race is a battle for our fundamental rights and our fundamental freedoms. And if you care about women making their own reproductive health care decisions, if you care about a person's right to organize and join a union, because we know that's the quickest way to the middle class, if you care about making sure you get the opportunity to vote and have your ballot counted, all of those things are on the line here in Pennsylvania. And this race it's not hyperbole to say the most important gubernatorial race in the country. And it's going to have massive implications, not just on Pennsylvania, but our entire nation.
Yeah, I've written articles about Doug Mastriano, the Republican candidate for governor, and how this guy's not joking. As President Biden says, no joke. This guy wants to make everyone re-register to vote. He's also has a track record of bigotry, anti-Muslim stuff, trafficking in at least arguably anti-Semitic stuff as well. And far, far right, way out of touch, I think, with the mainstream, just about anywhere, frankly. So, on day one, if you, Shapiro, Davis, you guys get in, what's your top priorities right day one?
So, one, we're going to make sure that we obviously organize our government and appoint a pro-democracy Secretary of State to oversee our election process. But we're going to make sure that we fight to make sure that Pennsylvania has a strong economy that lifts everyone up and gives everybody the opportunity to succeed. We're going to fight to make sure education, everybody has the opportunity to get a quality education here in the Commonwealth. We've seen massive discrepancies in that. And we're going to make sure that we do everything in our power to make sure Pennsylvania is safe. We're going to hit the ground running. I think folks will be pretty shocked at how quickly we get up and running as a government to respond to Pennsylvania's biggest challenges. But Josh and I both have long track records of getting things done. Myself in the legislature, and before that, working in Allegheny County government to help manage Pennsylvania's second largest county. But as Josh is Attorney General and as the county commissioner, we've proven every day that we'll take on the big fights for working class families and actually get results. And we're the only folks in this race that have actually put out policy prescriptions for our biggest challenges we face here in the Commonwealth. So we're the team that's ready to go on day one.
And another issue, I mean, we talked about before you came on, the big number one issue in a new CBS poll yesterday was rights, freedoms. That's really up there. Number two, of course, is the economy. And within that is inflation. Is there anything on the state level? Because we were talking about it before you came on. It's a global problem. And I really think there needs to be a global approach. But can a governor, can an administration in a state like Pennsylvania have an impact on inflation?
There are certainly some things that we can do. And Josh and I have rolled out an economic plan to provide every car owner a $250 rebate refund for gas to deal with rising or gas prices, which are thank God falling now. But we put out a rebate program to help them deal with that. We talked about eliminating the state cell phone tax. Most folks don't realize there's a burdensome tax that they pay every month for their cell phone bills. We want to make sure we can put that money back into Pennsylvanians' pockets. And thirdly, we want to expand our property tax rent rebate program to expand the eligibility and expand the rebate to put more money in seniors' pockets here in the Commonwealth. So there are absolutely things we can do. And Josh and I are going to do everything in our power to help Pennsylvanians deal with these economic problems.
And I so appreciate that you answered with policy prescriptions and not like this kind of, we're going to cramp down on inflation. You actually had things. I love the $250 rebate for gas. Do you have to live in Pennsylvania? I live right next door in New York. Can I get one, or do I have to live in Pennsylvania probably?
You have to live. You have to. We'll call
Okay.
Governor Hochul for you, but you're gonna have to move to Pennsylvania if you want our program.
Well, I'm originally from Jersey, and I'm friends with Governor Murphy, so I'm going to try Governor Murphy. I'm going to talk to Governor Murphy and say, "Hey, look what they're doing in Pennsylvania. You got to match that, or we're going to Pennsylvania and see what he does." So, last thing here, we touched on Doug Mastriano a little bit. If people aren't following him, he's the GOP nominee for governor. He's against the top of your ticket. What can you share if people don't know about him? Of how, and I mean objectively, this is not normal conservative. This is very, very extreme.
Look, Maya Angelou has a great quote. When people show us who they are, we should believe them. On January 6th, Doug Mastriano not only attended the insurrection at the Capitol, he bussed people down to be there. When police officers said stop, he crossed police barricades on that day. He, as the senator that represents Gettysburg, the deadliest battle of the Civil War, wore a Confederate uniform and a faculty photo for the Army War College. And the Army War College said that photo and that uniform does not represent their values. He is by far the most extreme and dangerous candidate running for governor in this country. He is a threat to not only our democracy, but our basic fundamental rights and freedoms. And so Pennsylvanians are going to have an opportunity to choose not just a governor who will lead the direction of this Commonwealth for the next 4 years, but what's going to ultimately set us on the path for the next 40 or 50 years here in Pennsylvania, in this country. He has shown us time and time again. He pays to advertise on a website called Gab, which has been known as a haven for white supremacists and extremists. As a southwestern Pennsylvania person, the Tree of Life shooter, the Tree of Life synagogue is less than 20 minutes from where I live and where I'm sitting today. The shooter posted his manifesto on that website before he walked into that synagogue and shot all those people. Doug Mastriano has shown us time and time again who he is. And we, on November 8th, should show him the door and send a message that Pennsylvania is not a place for extremism or hate.
And, the point that Representative Davis made earlier is so vitally important, and something we've talked about on the show, because everyone talks about the Congress, the House, and the Senate. Those are important. But governor's race and Secretary of State races in other states are so important. I've covered the Arizona race with their GOP election denier. In your state, if Mastriano were to win, he would appoint an election denier like himself to Secretary of State. And whatever happens in 2024, if a Democrat wins that state, it won't be certified. It'll be in court. Right. It'll be dragged out. Democracy will be denied. I call these people not election deniers. I call them democracy killers. That's what I really think they are. And so that's why it's so vitally important that Josh Shapiro and Representative Davis wins. If people want to find out more about your campaign, volunteer, donate, whatever, what can they do?
Yeah, I would encourage folks, if you're on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, go to Austin Davis, PA, and follow the work we're doing. And if you want to donate, go to www.shapirodavis.org. It's just shapirodavis.org or Austin Davis, PA on the social media sites.
You guys are in one of the most important elections in this nation. You really are. It's your state, Michigan, Wisconsin. I'm talking about governor's races are vitally important. Then you have that. Stacey Abrams and Georgia and Arizona also there to preserve our democracy. So, Representative Davis, it's great to meet you, my friend. It was great chatting with you, and I wish you the best, and I look forward. And don't forget us when you win. Hopefully you'll come back on as Lieutenant Governor.
I make you a promise. I would love to come back on early on when I'm Pennsylvania's next Lieutenant Governor. That's a promise. I'm gonna make it. I have this recorded. I'm gonna play this over and over on a loop. We're gonna remind you. No, thank you. Thanks. It was great meeting you. Nice chatting with you. Have a great day, my friend. Take care.